The noise of the Royal Zenith Casino was a roar of greed and desperation that Choi Tae-yoon called music. He stood on the private balcony of his penthouse office, looking down at the Las Vegas Strip. The neon lights reflected in his dark eyes, cold and hard as the chips on his tables downstairs. He adjusted the cuffs of his $5,000 suit. He had it all now. The money, the power, the fear of every man who walked into his building. "Tae-yoon, darling, are you coming?" Vanessa's voice drifted from inside. She was draped across his leather sofa, sipping champagne that cost more than most people made in a month. She was his fiancée. She was perfect. Tall, blonde, a senator's daughter. She was the final piece of his victory, the ultimate proof that the poor immigrant boy who scrubbed dishes had become a king. He walked back inside, grabbing his glass. "Just enjoying the view," Tae-yoon said, his voice smooth. "Everything the light touches is ours, right?" "You're obsessed with owning things," Vanessa laughed, standing up to fix his tie. "That's why I love you, you never settle." "Never," he agreed. He led her out of the office and into the private elevator. They were heading to the gala downstairs. Tonight was the anniversary of the casino's opening. He wanted to show Vanessa off. He wanted the world to see that Choi Tae-yoon had won. But as the elevator descended, he felt a strange pull. He needed air. Real air, not the recycled oxygen pumped into the casino to keep gamblers awake. "Meet me at the table," he told Vanessa when the doors opened to the lobby. "I need to check the perimeter, security briefing." "Don't be long," she warned, blowing him a kiss. Tae-yoon walked out the main glass doors, his bodyguards trailing a few steps behind. The desert heat hit him, but it was the noise of the street that grounded him. Limousines idled. Tourists screamed. He scanned the crowd with a sneer. Losers. All of them, then he saw her. At the crosswalk, the light was red. A woman was trying to cross, but she was moving too slow. Cars honked. Someone yelled, "Move it, junkie!" Tae-yoon froze. He knew that walk. He knew the shape of those shoulders, even if they were slumped in defeat now. It was Blessing. She looked like a ghost. She was wearing dirty, light blue hospital scrubs that hung off her thin frame. She was limping, dragging her left leg like it was dead weight. But it wasn't just her. Tied to her chest with a torn piece of cloth was a baby. A tiny, screaming thing that she was frantically trying to hush. Blessing. The woman who had looked him in the eye 5 years ago and told him he would never be enough. The woman who had dumped him when he had nothing but a dream and a pile of debt. She stumbled on the curb, nearly dropping to her knees. A man in a convertible shouted a curse at her. She didn't fight back. She didn't yell. She just bowed her head, clutching the baby tighter, and limped toward the sidewalk where a few homeless people sat with cardboard signs. Tae-yoon's heart hammered against his ribs. It wasn't love. It couldn't be. It was rage, pure hot rage. He had imagined this moment 1,000 times. He had planned how he would laugh in her face. He had planned to show her his watch, his car, his woman. He wanted to see her regret. But seeing her now, looking like she had crawled out of hell, he didn't feel like laughing. He felt like burning the whole city down. "Pause. Before we find out what Tae-yoon does next, I need to know one thing. Where are you listening from right now? Drop your city and flag in the comments. And while you're there, rate this story so far from 1 to 10. Now, listen to me closely. If you don't hit that subscribe button for timeless K-Love right now, you're leaving Blessing on that dirty street corner. Look at her. She is limping, she is starving, and she is holding a newborn baby who has no one else in this world. Do not scroll past her. Do not ignore her pain. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to help her survive. Don't be the reason she loses hope tonight." Tae-yoon signaled his head of security, a massive man named Marcus. "Hold the car, I'm walking." "Boss," Marcus looked confused. "The gala is starting. Vanessa is waiting." "I said hold the car," Tae-yoon snapped. He stepped off the curb, his expensive Italian leather shoes hitting the gritty asphalt. He ignored the traffic. Cars screeched to a halt as he walked against the light, his eyes locked on the figure slumped against the brick wall of the pharmacy across the street. Blessing had sat down on a piece of cardboard. She was trembling. He could see it from here. Her hands shook as she tried to adjust the baby's blanket. It wasn't even a real blanket. It looked like a towel stolen from a motel. Stopped 5 feet away from her. His shadow fell over her, blocking out the harsh streetlights. She didn't look up. She was too busy cooing at the bundle in her arms. Her voice was raspy, dry. "SHH, baby, it's okay. Mommy is here. Mommy's got you." "You look like trash," Tae-yoon said. The words came out colder than he intended. Sharp, cruel. Blessing's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide. For a second, she didn't recognize him. The glare from the casino sign behind him haloed his head. But then recognition dawned. Her face, gaunt and pale, drained of what little color it had left. Her lips parted, cracked and dry. Tae-yoon. It's Mr. Choi now, he corrected, crossing his arms. Or did you forget? She stared at him, her gaze traveling from his slicked-back hair to his silk tie down to his polished shoes. Then she looked down at herself. The stained scrubs, the swollen ankle, the dirt under her fingernails. Shame flooded her face. She tried to pull the baby closer as if to hide the child from his judgment. I didn't know you were in Vegas, she whispered. I own Vegas, he said, stepping closer. I own the building you're sitting in front of. I own the street you're begging on. Blessing flinched. I'm not begging, I needed to rest my leg. Your leg, he looked at her ankle. It was swollen, purple and blue. It looked broken or badly sprained. What happened? Kick the wrong door down. I fell, she said quickly. Too quickly. I just fell. The baby let out a sharp cry, a hungry cry. Blessing panicked. She began rocking back and forth, wincing with every movement. SHH, please don't cry. Tae-yoon watched, his stomach twisting. This was his victory. This was the moment he had waited 5 years for. Seeing her broken, it felt hollow. It felt like ash in his mouth. Who is the father? He demanded. Blessing froze. She didn't answer. She just kept rocking the baby. I asked you a question, Blessing. His voice dropped, dangerous and low. Who is the father, the guy you left me for, the rich guy, the one who was going to give you the world? She looked up at him then, and he saw tears pooling in her eyes. Real tears, not the fake ones she used to cry when they argued about rent money. These were tears of exhaustion. He's gone, she whispered. Gone where? Just gone, Tae-yoon, dead, jail, does it matter? She wiped her cheek with a dirty hand. Look, I'll go. I didn't mean to mess up your view. I'll move. She tried to stand. She grabbed the brick wall for support, putting weight on her bad leg, her face contorted in agony. A small whimper escaped her lips and her knee buckled. She was going to fall. She was going to drop the baby. Tae-yoon didn't think, he didn't decide. His body just moved. He lunged forward, catching her arm before she hit the pavement. Her skin was hot, too hot. She was burning up with fever. Let go of me, she gasped, trying to pull away, but she was weak, so weak. You're burning up, he growled. He looked at the baby. The kid was tiny, wrapped in rags. When was the last time you ate? I'm fine, she lied. Her stomach growled, loud and traitorous. You're a liar, you were always a liar. He tightened his grip on her arm, pulling her upright. Marcus! The security chief was there in a second. Boss, bring the car around the back entrance. Sir. Marcus looked at Blessing, wrinkling his nose at the smell of sickness and the street. You can't bring her inside. Vanessa. I don't give a damn about Vanessa right now. Tae-yoon roared, making Blessing jump. Bring the car. He looked back at Blessing. She was trembling in his grip, terrified. What are you doing? She asked, her voice shaking. Tae-yoon, please, just let me go. I don't want your help. I don't want your pity. You think this is pity? He laughed, a dark, humorless sound. He leaned in close, his face inches from hers. He could smell the antiseptic soap from the hospital and the sweat of fear. This isn't pity, Blessing. You owe me. You owe me 5 years of pain. You don't get to die on a sidewalk. That's too easy. I'm not dying, she insisted, though she swayed on her feet. You are, he said, and the kid is next. The mention of the baby broke her. Her shoulders sagged. The fight went out of her eyes. She looked down at the infant sleeping fitfully against her chest. He's hungry, she whispered, the admission costing her everything. I haven't been able to feed him since yesterday, my milk. It stopped because I haven't eaten. The words hit Tae-yoon like a physical blow. He stared at her, seeing the woman he had once planned to marry, the woman he had worked 3 jobs for, the woman who had broken him, and now she was starving. Get in the car, he said, his voice rough. The black limousine pulled up to the curb. Marcus opened the door. Tae-yoon practically shoved her inside. The cool air conditioning hit them. The seats were soft leather. Blessing sat on the edge, afraid to touch anything, clutching her baby like a shield. Tae-yoon got in beside her. He pressed a button on the intercom. Take us to the private clinic, not the hospital, my personal doctor. Yes, sir, the driver said. Silence filled the car, heavy, suffocating. Blessing stared out the tinted window, watching the city blur by. Why? She asked softly. Tae-yoon didn't look at her. He stared straight ahead. Because I'm not done with you yet. The limousine hummed, a quiet vibration that felt like a purr compared to the screaming chaos of the street outside. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of expensive leather and Tae-yoon's cologne, a scent Blessing used to bury her face in back when he came home smelling like dishwater and grease. Now he smelled like money. He smelled like a stranger. Blessing sat on the edge of the seat, her body rigid. The plush leather felt wrong against her dirty scrubs. She was contaminating his world. She knew it. Tae-yoon knew it. He sat across from her, his long legs stretched out, watching her with eyes that were black pits of judgment. The baby whimpered against her chest. It was a weak, dry sound. "He needs water," Blessing croaked. Her throat felt like it was full of broken glass. Or formula, do you have water?" Tae-yoon didn't speak. He reached into the mini fridge built into the side of the car. The light from the fridge illuminated his face, sharp jaw, tight lips. He pulled out a bottle of sparkling water. He looked at it, frowned, and put it back. He pulled out a bottle of still water instead. He cracked the seal and handed it to her. Blessing's hands shook so bad she almost dropped it. She fumbled with the cap. She couldn't get a grip. Her fingers were slick with sweat and grime. "Give it to me," Tae-yoon snapped. He snatched the bottle back, twisted the cap off in one sharp motion, and shoved it back toward her. "Drink. The kid can't drink from a bottle like that. You drink first." She brought the bottle to her lips. The water was cold, shocking her system. She gulped it down, spilling some on her chin. She didn't care. It was the first clean water she had tasted in 2 days. She lowered the bottle, gasping. "Slow down," he said, his voice void of sympathy. "You'll throw it up." "I'm fine," she whispered, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. "You're not fine, you're a mess." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Let me see the leg." "No," she pulled her leg back, hiding it under the bench. "It's just a sprain." "I saw you limping, Blessing. I saw you almost collapse. Show me the damn leg." She hesitated. The command in his voice was new. The old Tae-yoon asked. This Tae-yoon ordered. Slowly, she extended her left leg. The hem of the scrubs was frayed and stained with dark oil. She rolled it up. Tae-yoon hissed through his teeth. The ankle wasn't just swollen. It was the size of a grapefruit, the skin stretched shiny and tight, colored in violent shades of purple, black, and green. There was a cut running down the side, infected and oozing yellow pus. "You walked on this?" he asked, his voice quiet. "I had to," she said simply. "They kick you out of the shelter if you aren't back by 6. I was late." "So you walked?" "I ran." He stared at the injury, his face unreadable. Then he looked up at her face. "You ran on a broken ankle to get to a shelter that kicks you out in the morning." "It was that or the park," she said. "The park isn't safe at night, not with a baby." Tae-yoon looked away, toward the window. The neon lights of the strip were fading as they moved away from the tourist district and toward the private medical sector. He clenched his jaw so hard a muscle ticked in his cheek. "Why didn't you call me?" he asked. He didn't look at her. Blessing let out a short, dry laugh. "Call you? Tae-yoon, look at you. You're on billboards. You're the king of Vegas. How was I supposed to call you? Hey, remember the girl who broke your heart? Can I have $20? "I would have given you more than $20, he muttered. "I didn't want your money then, and I don't want it now. You need it now." He turned back to her, his eyes blazing. "You have a child. Pride is a luxury you can't afford anymore." "Look at him." He pointed a manicured finger at the bundle. "He's starving because you're too proud to ask for help." The accusation hit home. Blessing looked down at her son. He had stopped crying and was just staring up with wide, dark eyes, sucking on his fist. Tae-yoon was right. She had failed. She had tried to do it alone, and she had failed. The car slowed down and turned into a gated driveway. A sign on the brick wall read, "Silver Lake Private Clinic." It looked more like a mansion than a hospital. There were fountains and manicured hedges. The car stopped. The door opened immediately. Marcus was there. "We're here, boss. Dr. Evans is waiting in the VIP wing." Tae-yoon got out first. He turned and extended a hand to her. Blessing looked at his hand, large, strong, clean. She remembered how that hand felt holding hers in the movies, back when they shared a large popcorn because they couldn't afford dinner. She took it. He pulled her out, but as soon as her bad foot touched the ground, her knee gave way. She didn't hit the ground. Tae-yoon caught her. He didn't just steady her, he swept her up into his arms. "Tae-yoon, I can walk." "Shut up," he grunted. "You're light as a feather, you weigh nothing." He carried her through the glass doors, ignoring the startled look of the receptionist. He carried her past the waiting room with its plush chairs and art magazines. A doctor in a white coat came jogging down the hall. "Mr. Choi," the doctor said, looking nervous. "We weren't expecting." "Room 1, Tae-yoon cut him off. "She needs an IV, antibiotics, x-ray on the ankle, and get a pediatrician now." "Sir, we don't usually treat infants here. This is a cosmetic and recovery." "Did I ask what you usually do?" Tae-yoon stopped and glared at the man. "Get a pediatrician. Buy one if you have to, just get someone here to look at the kid." "Yes, Mr. Choi." The doctor scrambled away. Tae-yoon kicked open the door to room 1. It was huge, with a bed that looked more comfortable than any hotel Blessing had ever stayed in. He set her down gently on the mattress. "Stay," he ordered, as if she could go anywhere. Nurses swarmed in. They were efficient and silent. One began cutting the scrubs off her leg. Another started an IV line in her arm. Blessing flinched as the needle went in. "The baby," she panicked, trying to sit up. "I need to hold him." "I've got him," Tae-yoon said. He hadn't left. He was standing by the foot of the bed. He reached out and awkwardly took the bundle from her. He held the baby like it was a bomb that might go off. He held it away from his expensive suit, stiff-armed. "Bring me some formula," Tae-yoon barked at a nurse. "We have some in the break room, sir, for the staff, but bring it." Blessing watched through a haze of exhaustion as the nurses worked on her leg. The pain was dulling now, replaced by a warm, floaty feeling as something traveled up the IV tube. But her eyes were locked on Tae-yoon. He was standing in the corner of the room. A nurse had handed him a bottle. He looked at it, then at the baby. He sat down in a leather chair. He adjusted the baby, awkwardly cradling the small head in the crook of his arm. The baby rooted around, searching. Tae-yoon brought the bottle to the baby's mouth. The infant latched on instantly, drinking greedily. Tae-yoon's face changed. The hard lines around his mouth softened just a fraction. He stared down at the small face, watching the baby drink. He looked, fascinated and terrified. Blessing's heart squeezed. That was the look she had dreamed of seeing on his face years ago, before everything went wrong, before she made the choice that destroyed them. "Mr. Choi?" Marcus appeared at the door, holding a phone. "It's Vanessa. She's called 5 times. She says the cake cutting is in 10 minutes. Tae-yoon didn't look up from the baby. "Tell her I'm busy." "Sir, she's furious. She says if you don't come back, she's leaving." Tae-yoon finally looked up. His eyes were cold again. "Let her leave. Tell the driver to take her home. Send her a bracelet tomorrow. She likes diamonds." Marcus hesitated. "She's your fiancée, sir." "And this," Tae-yoon nodded at the woman in the bed, "is a complication I need to handle. Get out, Marcus. Close the door." Marcus nodded slowly and backed out. The door clicked shut. It was just the 3 of them. The beep of the monitor, the sound of the baby sucking on the bottle, the hum of the air conditioning. Tae-yoon finished feeding the baby. He burped him surprisingly gently, patting the tiny back with his large hand. Then he walked over to the bed. Blessing was fighting to keep her eyes open. The drugs were strong. "He's asleep," Tae-yoon said. He placed the baby in a small bassinet the nurses had wheeled in. He pulled the blanket up to the baby's chin. Then he pulled a chair right next to her bed. He sat down, leaning close. His cologne filled her nose again. "Now," he said softly, "you're not going to sleep yet, you're going to talk." "Tae-yoon, please. Who is he?" "I told you," she whispered. "He's gone. What was his name? It doesn't matter." "It matters to me." He slammed his hand on the mattress, making her jump. "I need to know who thought he was better than me. I need to know who you left me for. Was he richer? Was he smarter? Did he have a bigger house?" "Stop it," she sobbed. "Did he promise you the world, Blessing? Because I was going to give you the world. I was working 18 hours a day for you. I was saving every dime." His voice cracked. The anger was peeling away, revealing the hurt underneath. Raw, bleeding hurt. "I came home that night with the ring in my pocket, and you were gone, just a note. I deserve better. That's what you wrote." Blessing turned her head away, tears streaming into her hair. I did deserve better. And this is better." He gestured around the room, at her broken body, at the homeless clothes piled on the floor. "Begging for change, starving. It wasn't supposed to be like this," she whispered. He lost his job, then he started drinking, then," she shuddered. "Then he hit me." Tae-yoon went still, deadly still. The air in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "He hit you." "Only once," she said quickly. "That's when I left. I took the baby and I ran. I've been running for 3 weeks." Tae-yoon reached out. His fingers hovered over her face, then gently, so gently she almost didn't feel it, he brushed a stray lock of hair from her forehead. His thumb traced the line of her jaw. "Is he the one who did this to your ankle?" "No, I fell, really. But he's the reason you're on the street." "Yes." Tae-yoon sat back. He looked at the ceiling. He took a deep breath, and when he looked back at her, his face was a mask of stone. The emotions were locked away again. "What is the baby's name?" "Joshua," she said. "Joshua," he repeated. He tested the name. "Does he have a last name?" "No," she said. "Not yet." "Good." Tae-yoon stood up. He adjusted his suit jacket. "Get some sleep. The doctor says you need surgery on that ankle in the morning. They need to put pins in it." "I can't pay for surgery," Blessing said, panic rising again. "Tae-yoon, I can't pay for this room. I can't pay for any of this." "I know you can't." He walked to the door. "Tae-yoon, wait." She tried to reach for him. "Why are you doing this? You hate me." He stopped with his hand on the handle. He didn't turn around. His back was broad, strong, a wall she couldn't climb. "Yes," he said. "I hate you. I hate you for leaving. I hate you for coming back. I hate you for making me feel this way." He opened the door. "But I'm not going to let you die," he said. Because if you die, I don't get to prove to you that I won." He walked out, leaving her alone in the silence. Tae-yoon walked down the hallway, his footsteps echoing on the tile. He felt like his chest was ripped open. Seeing her like that broken, scared, it twisted something inside him. He wanted to kill the man who touched her. He wanted to find this father and tear him apart piece by piece. He pulled out his phone. He dialed Marcus. "Boss, I want a name," Tae-yoon said, his voice low and dangerous. "I want you to find out who Blessing was living with. I want to know where he is. I want to know what he drinks, where he sleeps, and who he owes money to. Consider it done. What about the gala? Guests are asking. Cancel the rest of the event. Tell them there was a security threat. Tell them whatever you want. I'm not coming back tonight. And Vanessa, I told you," Tae-yoon snapped. "Handle it." He hung up. He walked out of the clinic into the cool desert night. He lit a cigarette, his hands trembling slightly. He took a deep drag, looking up at the moon. He had won. He was the king of Vegas. So why did he feel like he had just lost everything all over again? He looked back at the clinic window. The light was on in her room. "Joshua," he whispered to the smoke. He threw the cigarette down and crushed it under his expensive shoe. He wasn't going anywhere. He would sit in the car. He would wait. He would make sure no one, not the past, not her ex, not even his own fiancée, could touch them tonight. For tonight, the king was guarding the pauper. Inside the clinic, Dr. Evans watched the monitors. He had seen a lot of things in Vegas. He had stitched up mobsters and sobered up movie stars, but he had never seen Choi Tae-yoon look at anyone the way he looked at that girl. He picked up the chart. Malnutrition, dehydration, grade 3 ankle fracture, postpartum infection. He shook his head. She was lucky to be alive if she had spent one more night on the street. The door opened and a nurse peeked in. "Doctor, the patient is asking for the baby." "Let her hold him," Dr. Evans said. "It'll help her stress levels." The nurse nodded. In the room, Blessing pulled Joshua into the bed with her. She smelled the clean scent of the clinic sheets, but underneath that she could still smell Tae-yoon. His scent lingered in the room. She buried her nose in the baby's soft hair. "We're safe, Josh," she whispered. "For now." But she knew Tae-yoon. She knew the pride that drove him. He said he hated her. He said he wanted to win. But she also remembered the boy who used to sing to her when she had a nightmare. She remembered the boy who walked 3 miles in the rain to bring her soup when she was sick. Was that boy still in there? Or had the money and the city buried him forever? She closed her eyes, and the darkness took her. The next morning, the sun hit the Las Vegas skyline with a vengeance. Heat rose from the pavement in shimmering waves. In the penthouse of the Royal Zenith, Vanessa threw a crystal vase against the wall. It shattered into a million pieces. "He did what?" she screamed. Marcus stood by the door, his hands clasped behind his back. He looked bored. He was used to tantrums. "He stayed at the clinic, Ms. Vanessa. He slept in the car." "Who is she?" Vanessa marched up to him, her face twisted in ugly rage. "Is it a whore? Did he pick up a stray?" "I don't know the details, ma'am. He just said she's an old acquaintance." "Acquaintance?" Vanessa laughed shrilly. "Tae-yoon doesn't have acquaintances. He has employees and he has enemies. Which one is she?" "I think," Marcus said carefully, "she might be neither." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. She walked to the window, looking out at the city she thought she owned. She wasn't going to lose him, not to some nobody. She had worked too hard to land the casino king. "Get the car," she said coldly. "I think I need to visit this clinic. I want to meet this acquaintance." "Boss said no visitors." "I'm not a visitor, Marcus." She turned, her smile sharp as a knife. "I'm his fiancée. I'm family. Now get the car." Marcus hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, ma'am." As he left, Vanessa picked up her phone. She dialed a number. "Hello, TMZ. Yes, I have a tip. Choi Tae-yoon. Yes, the casino owner. He's at the Silver Lake Clinic. He's got a secret woman there. It looks scandalous. You might want to send a photographer." She hung up, her smile widening. If Tae-yoon wanted to play games, she would burn the board. Back at the clinic, Blessing woke up to the sound of a heartbeat. It took her a moment to realize it wasn't her own. She was drifting in and out of consciousness after the surgery. Her leg felt heavy, wrapped in a cast, but the room wasn't empty. Tae-yoon was there. He had fallen asleep in the chair next to the bed. His head was resting on the mattress, just inches from her hand. His expensive suit jacket was folded over the back of the chair. His tie was undone, hanging loose around his neck. His hair, usually perfect, was messy. He looked younger like this. The harsh lines of his face were smoothed out by sleep. Blessing watched him. Her heart ached. She wanted to touch his hair. She wanted to smooth the worry lines from his forehead, but she didn't dare. She looked around for Joshua. The bassinet was empty. Panic spiked in her chest. "Joshua," she rasped. Tae-yoon stirred. He groaned, sitting up and rubbing his face. Blinked, focusing on her. "You're awake," he said, his voice rough with sleep. Where is he? Where's my baby? Relax, Tae-yoon yawned, stretching his arms. The nurse took him to change him. He's fine. He's loud. Did he cry? He screamed, Tae-yoon corrected. He has lungs like a siren. I thought he was dying. The nurse said he was just wet. Blessing let out a breath. I'm sorry, he's a handful. He's a baby, Tae-yoon shrugged. He looked at her leg. Surgery went well. They put 2 pins in. You'll be in a cast for 6 weeks. No walking. 6 weeks. Blessing stared at the ceiling. I can't stay here for 6 weeks. I have to find a job. I have to. You have to do nothing, Tae-yoon cut in. You stay here until the doctor clears you. And then what? She looked at him. Then you throw me back on the street, or do you send me a bill for $50,000? Tae-yoon stood up. He walked to the window and opened the blinds. The bright sun flooded the room. I haven't decided yet, he said. There was a knock at the door. Marcus entered, looking grim. Boss, we have a problem. What now? Paparazzi, they're at the gate, dozens of them. Someone tipped them off that you're here with a mystery woman. Tae-yoon cursed. How did they find out? Marcus didn't answer, but his eyes flickered nervously. Vanessa, Tae-yoon realized. His face darkened. She called them. She's also here, sir. She's in the lobby. She's demanding to see you. Blessing shrank back against the pillows. Your fiancée, she's here. Tae-yoon looked at Blessing. He saw the fear in her eyes. He saw the shame. She was pulling the sheet up to her chin, trying to hide. She's not coming in here, Tae-yoon said firmly. She's making a scene, boss. If you don't go out there, she's going to come back here with the cameras. Tae-yoon ran a hand through his hair. He looked at Blessing. I have to deal with this. Go, Blessing whispered. Please, just go. I don't want trouble. You are trouble, Blessing, he said, but there was no heat in it. You've always been trouble. He grabbed his jacket and put it on. He tightened his tie. In seconds, he transformed from the tired man in the chair back into the casino tycoon. The armor was back on. Marcus, stay here, guard the door. No one enters, no one, not even the nurses unless I clear it. Yes, sir. Tae-yoon walked out. Blessing listened to his footsteps fade. She felt small. She felt like a dirty secret. Because that's what she was. So, Marcus said, standing by the door. He was a mountain of a man, but he looked uncomfortable. You're the ex. Blessing looked at him. I'm nobody. You're not nobody if the boss slept in a chair for you, Marcus grunted. He hasn't slept more than 4 hours a night in 5 years. Last night he slept 6, right there. Blessing looked at the empty chair. A strange warmth spread in her chest. He hates me, she said. Maybe, Marcus shrugged. But hate and love. They're close cousins in this town. In the lobby, Vanessa was posing for the cameras through the glass doors. She was wearing a white dress, looking like an angel. When she saw Tae-yoon coming down the hall, her face lit up with a practiced smile. Darling, she cried, rushing toward him. Tae-yoon sidestepped her hug. He grabbed her arm, his grip hard. What are you doing here, Vanessa? I was worried, she pouted, looking up at him with wide, innocent eyes. You disappeared. I heard you were at a clinic. I thought you were hurt. You called the press, he hissed. Don't lie to me. I might have mentioned to a friend that I was worried. Is that a crime? She pulled her arm away. Her eyes drifted to the hallway behind him. So, where is she, the charity case? She is none of your business. She is my business if you're skipping our anniversary to play nursemaid. Vanessa's voice rose. Is she pretty? Is she young? She is the mother of a newborn child, and she is injured, Tae-yoon said coldly. And you are leaving. I'm not leaving until I see her. Vanessa. His voice was a warning growl. Show me. She tried to push past him. Tae-yoon blocked her path. Go home or the engagement is over. The words hung in the air. The cameras outside flashed, catching the tension through the glass. Vanessa froze. She stared at him, searching his face for a bluff. She didn't find one. You're serious, she whispered. Over some trash from the street? She's not trash, Tae-yoon said. And saying it out loud felt like a lock clicking into place. Now go. Vanessa's face crumpled, then hardened into a mask of pure venom. You'll regret this, Tae-yoon. You think you can humiliate me? I'm a senator's daughter. I can ruin you. Get in line, he said. I've been ruined before. I built it back better. He turned his back on her and walked away. Tae-yoon, she screamed after him. He didn't stop. He walked back toward the room where the girl with the broken ankle and the broken heart was waiting. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't have a plan. All he knew was that for the first time in 5 years, he wasn't bored. He wasn't numb. He was alive, and he was ready to fight. The door to the hospital room opened. Tae-yoon walked in. He looked calm, too calm. He adjusted his cuffs, but Blessing noticed his knuckles were red. Is she gone? Blessing asked. Her voice was small in the quiet room. She's gone, Tae-yoon said. He walked over to the closet and grabbed the plastic bag with her dirty scrubs. He tossed it in the trash can. That's all I have, Blessing said, panic rising in her chest. Not anymore. He turned to her. We're leaving. Leaving, I just had surgery, the doctor said. The doctor works for me, and right now this clinic is surrounded by sharks with cameras. If we stay here, your face will be on every cover of every trash magazine in the country by morning. Is that what you want? Blessing shook her head. No, but where can we go? A motel? Tae-yoon looked at her like she was stupid. A motel, Blessing, I just dumped a senator's daughter. She's going to declare war. You think a Motel 6 door is going to stop her? He pressed a button on the wall intercom. Marcus, bring the bird to the roof. The bird? Blessing asked. The helicopter. He walked over to the bed. Can you sit up? I think so. She struggled to push herself up. Her leg was heavy, a dead weight in the fiberglass cast. Pain shot up her shin, making her gasp. Tae-yoon didn't say poor baby. He just slid his arm behind her back and hauled her up. Joshua, she said, looking at the bassinet. I'll carry the kid, Marcus will carry you. No, she grabbed his arm, her fingers dug into his expensive suit jacket. No one carries my son but me or you. Tae-yoon stopped. He looked down at her hand on his arm, then at her face. Her eyes were fierce. For a second he saw the old Blessing, the one who used to argue with him about which movie to watch, the one who had fire in her gut. Fine, he said. I'll take the kid. Marcus came in a moment later. He looked tired. Chopper is 5 minutes out, boss. The press is trying to climb the back gate. Let them climb, Tae-yoon said. He walked to the bassinet and scooped up Joshua. The baby was sleeping, wrapped in a white hospital blanket. Tae-yoon held him a little more naturally this time, though he still looked like he was holding a bomb. Marcus, take her. Be careful with the leg. If she bumps it, I deduct it from your pay. Marcus nodded and scooped Blessing up effortlessly. She felt humiliated, being carried like a child, wearing a hospital gown that didn't cover enough with her ex-boyfriend holding her baby. This was not how she imagined their reunion. They moved fast. Service elevator, top floor, the roof. The wind hit them instantly. It was hot, dry desert wind. The sound of the helicopter blades chopping the air was deafening. Blessing buried her face in Marcus's shoulder to keep the grit out of her eyes. Tae-yoon marched ahead, head bent against the wind, shielding Joshua with his body. He looked like a soldier. A very rich, very angry soldier. They loaded into the helicopter. It was plush inside, leather seats and noise-canceling headsets. Marcus strapped Blessing in. Tae-yoon sat opposite her, the baby still in his arms. He put a headset over his ears, then carefully placed a large pair of headphones over Joshua's tiny ears to protect them from the noise. The headphones were way too big. They slid down over the baby's eyes. Tae-yoon smirked. It was a tiny, fleeting thing, but Blessing saw it. He adjusted the headphones. The helicopter lifted off. The ground fell away. Blessing looked out the window. Down below, she saw the mob of flashes at the clinic gate. Like a swarm of fireflies. Where are we going? She asked into the headset microphone. Tae-yoon's voice came through her headphones, clear and deep. The Royal Zenith, my penthouse. The casino, she stared at him. You're taking a baby to a casino. It's the safest place in the city, he said. My security team runs it, bulletproof glass, private elevators. No one gets in unless I say so. Tae-yoon, I can't stay with you. Why not? He looked at her, his dark eyes challenging. You have somewhere else to be, a cardboard box with your name on it. I don't want to be a burden. You're already a burden, he said bluntly. I'm just managing the damage. Blessing bit her lip and looked away. The city of Las Vegas spread out beneath them, a sea of neon and sin. It was beautiful and ugly at the same time, just like him. The penthouse was bigger than the entire apartment building Blessing grew up in. The elevator opened directly into a living room that had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the strip. The floors were black marble. The furniture was white leather and chrome. There wasn't a single speck of dust, or a single picture frame, or a single sign that a human being actually lived there. It was cold. Marcus set her down on a massive white sofa. I'll get the wheelchair from storage, boss. Do it, Tae-yoon said. He was still holding Joshua. The baby was waking up, starting to squirm. Needs to be changed, Blessing said, watching her son's face scrunch up. And I don't have diapers, I don't have anything. Tae-yoon looked around his pristine $1 million living room, then he looked at the baby. Marcus, he shouted. Marcus poked his head back in. Yeah, boss. Go to the store, buy everything. Everything, sir. Everything a baby needs, diapers, wipes, clothes, crib, bottles, formula, those little, what do you call them, pacifiers, buy it all and get clothes for her. Sweatpants, t-shirts, nothing fancy, just soft. On it. Marcus disappeared. Now they were alone. The baby started to cry. It started as a whimper, then escalated into a full-blown wail. Here, Tae-yoon walked over and tried to hand the baby to her. I can't change him on the couch, Blessing said, looking at the white leather. I'll ruin it. It's a couch, I'll buy another one. Tae-yoon, no, put a towel down or something. He groaned, annoyed. He walked to a hallway, disappeared, and came back with a black towel that felt like it was made of silk. He spread it on the coffee table. There, the operating table is ready. He put Joshua down. Blessing leaned forward, grimacing as her cast shifted. She undid the tape on the hospital diaper. It was a mess. Oh God, Tae-yoon gagged, taking a step back. What did you feed him? Toxic waste. He's sick, Blessing said defensively, wiping the baby with the few wipes the hospital had given them. His stomach is upset because my milk wasn't good. Tae-yoon went quiet. He turned away, walking to the window. He stared out at the lights. I ordered food, he said, his back to her. Soup, rice, chicken you need to eat. Thank you, she whispered. She finished changing Joshua and wrapped him back in the blanket. She pulled him to her chest, kissing his forehead. You're okay, baby, we're okay. Tae-yoon turned back around. He watched them. The way Blessing held the child, it was fierce. Protective, it made his chest ache with a familiar, dull pain. He remembered when they talked about kids. 5 years ago, they had names picked out. Joshua wasn't one of them. You can take the guest room, Tae-yoon said. It's down the hall, I'll help you get there. Tae-yoon, she said softly. What? Why did you really bring me here? You could have paid for a hotel. You could have sent me to a different hospital. He walked over to the minibar and poured himself a whiskey. He didn't offer her any. He downed half the glass in one swallow. I told you, he said. I want to win. Win what? The breakup. He swirled the amber liquid in the glass. Vanessa thinks she can crush me. She thinks she can shame me. If I hide you, she wins. She spins the story that I'm ashamed of my mistress. But if I keep you here, if I parade you around like I don't give a damn, it takes away her power. Blessing felt a cold knot in her stomach. So I'm a prop. You're a guest, he corrected. A guest who owes me about 50 grand in medical bills. I'll pay you back, she snapped. I'll work, I'll clean, You'll sit on your ass and heal, he cut her off. You can't clean, you can barely walk. He set the glass down. The hardness in his eyes softened just for a fraction of a second. And besides, he muttered, almost too low for her to hear, the penthouse is too quiet. The elevator dinged. A waiter rolled in a cart smelling of roasted chicken and ginger. Behind him, Marcus arrived carrying 10 large shopping bags. Reinforcements, Marcus announced. For the next hour, the King of Vegas sat on his floor, assembling a crib with a screwdriver he clearly didn't know how to use. He cursed at the instructions. He threw a screw across the room. It says insert tab A into slot B, Tae-yoon growled, glaring at the white painted wood. There is no tab A. The Koreans make better instructions than this. Blessing sat on the couch, eating spoonfuls of warm chicken soup. It was the best thing she had ever tasted. She watched him, the most powerful man in the city, struggling with a crib from Target. You're holding it upside down, she pointed out. I am not, he argued. He turned the piece. It fit perfectly. He didn't look at her, but she saw the corner of his mouth twitch. Shut up, he said. I didn't say anything. You thought it. When the crib was finally built, it looked out of place in the sleek, modern room. But Joshua didn't mind. He was clean, fed, and sleeping soundly on a new mattress. Tae-yoon stood up, dusting off his pants. He looked at Blessing. She was drooping, her eyes barely staying open. Bedtime, he said. He picked her up again. She was too tired to argue. He carried her down the hall to the guest room. It was gray and silver with a bed that looked like a cloud. He set her down. Marcus put the clothes in the drawer, he said, pointing. Do you need help changing? Blessing's face went hot. I can do it. Good, he walked to the door. If you need anything, call Marcus. He's sleeping in the staff quarters. Tae-yoon, he stopped. Thank you for the crib, for the soup, for saving us. He stood there for a long moment, his hand on the light switch. His silhouette was dark against the hallway light. Don't get used to it, he said. Once that ankle is healed, you're gone. He flipped the switch, plunging her into darkness. The door clicked shut. Tae-yoon walked back to the living room. It was empty again. The crib stood in the corner like a monument to his insanity. He poured another drink. He walked to the window and looked down at the strip. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. It buzzed again, and again. He pulled it out. Vanessa. 15 missed calls, 20 texts. You're making a mistake. My father is going to audit your casino. I'm going on live TV tomorrow. He deleted the thread. Then he saw a new message. Unknown number. I saw the news. Is she with you? Tae-yoon stared at the screen. His thumb hovered over the delete button, but he didn't press it. He tapped the screen and called the number. Who is this? Tae-yoon demanded as soon as the line picked up. A male voice laughed on the other end. It was a rough, scratchy laugh, like sandpaper on concrete. You know who it is, Choi. I saw my girl on the news, in your limo. You got something of mine. She's not yours, Tae-yoon said, his voice dropping to a lethal growl. And if you ever come near her again, I'll bury you in the desert. She's my wife, man, and that kid is my son. You can't just steal a man's family. Wife, Tae-yoon froze. She said you weren't married. She lies, the man said. She's a good liar. Look, I don't want trouble. I just want what's owed to me. She took some things when she left, money, my stash. She has nothing, Tae-yoon said. She was begging on the street. Yeah, well, maybe she hid it. I'm coming to Vegas, Choi. You tell her I'm coming. Tell her daddy wants his boy back. The line went dead. Tae-yoon slowly lowered the phone. He squeezed it so hard the screen cracked. Married, she was married. He turned and looked down the hall toward the guest room. Rage flared in his chest, hot and blinding. She had lied to him again. He marched down the hall. He was going to wake her up. He was going to throw her out. He was going to demand the truth. He threw open the door to the guest room. Light from the hallway spilled across the bed. Blessing was asleep. She was curled up on her side, one hand resting protectively over the empty space where the baby would be. Her face was relaxed, her breathing deep and even. She looked so peaceful, so exhausted. Tae-yoon stopped at the foot of the bed. His fists were clenched at his sides. She's married. The thought was poison. But then he looked at her ankle, propped up on a pillow, the white cast glowing in the dim light. He looked at the bruises on her arm that were fading from purple to yellow. Daddy wants his boy back. The voice on the phone terrified him. Not for himself, Tae-yoon feared no man, but he knew what that voice sounded like. It was the voice of a predator. If he threw her out now, that man would find her. Tae-yoon took a deep breath. He forced his hands to unclench. He stepped back and quietly closed the door. He wasn't going to throw her out, not yet. He walked back to the living room and hit the intercom. Marcus, wake up. I'm up, boss. We have a situation. I need you to run a full background check on Blessing. I want to know everything, every address, and find out if she has a marriage license. Marriage license, boss, you think? Just do it, and double the security on the penthouse floor. No one comes up without my thumbprint scan. No one. Understood. Tae-yoon walked to the crib. Looked down at Joshua. The baby was awake, staring up at him with dark, liquid eyes. He didn't cry this time, he just blinked. Your daddy is coming, Tae-yoon whispered to the baby. But he's going to have to go through me. The next morning, Blessing woke up to the smell of coffee. Strong, expensive coffee. She stretched, wincing as her leg reminded her of reality. The bed was so soft she felt like she was sinking. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the gray walls, the high ceiling. The memory of the helicopter, the penthouse. She sat up. Joshua! He wasn't in the room. Panic, cold and sharp, spiked in her chest. She scrambled to the edge of the bed. There was a wheelchair parked right next to the nightstand. She dragged herself into it, gritting her teeth against the pain. She wheeled herself out into the hallway. Joshua! She called out. She rolled into the living room and stopped. The room was bathed in morning sunlight, and there, sitting on the white couch, was Tae-yoon. He was wearing a fresh suit, navy blue this time. He had a tablet in one hand and a bottle of formula in the other. Joshua was in the crook of his arm, drinking happily. Tae-yoon was reading the news while feeding the baby. He looked up as she wheeled in. His face was unreadable. You slept late, he said. Where? You have him. Blessing slumped in the chair, relief washing over her. You thought I threw him off the balcony. Tae-yoon raised an eyebrow. He woke up at 5 a.m. You were dead to the world. I handled it. You handled it? I Googled it. How to stop a baby from screaming. Step 1, feed him. Step 2, check the diaper. It was step 1. Blessing wheeled closer. She saw the dark circles under Tae-yoon's eyes. You didn't sleep, she said. I don't sleep, he replied. He set the empty bottle on the table. He burped the baby, efficient and rough, but Joshua seemed to like it. We need to talk, Tae-yoon said. Tone of his voice made Blessing straighten up. It was the business tone, the scary tone. About what? About your husband. The word hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Blessing went pale. I don't have a husband. Tae-yoon set the baby down in the crib. He stood up and walked over to her. He towered over the wheelchair, blocking out the sun. Don't lie to me, Blessing. I hate liars. I'm not lying. We were never married. He wanted to, but I said no. He called me last night. Blessing's hands flew to her mouth. Her eyes went wide with pure terror. He called you? How did he get your number? He saw the news. He knows you're with me. Tae-yoon leaned down, bracing his hands on the arms of her wheelchair, trapping her. He says you stole from him. He says you took his money. I didn't. Tears welled up in her eyes. I took $20 from the jar on the fridge to buy bus tickets. That's it, I swear. He says he's coming to Vegas. Blessing started to shake. No. No, he can't. If he finds me. Tae-yoon, you have to let me go. I have to leave. If he finds me here, he'll hurt you. He's crazy. He knows people. He knows people. Tae-yoon laughed. It was a cold, terrifying sound. Blessing, look around you. I am the people he should be afraid of. You don't understand. He's in a gang. The Serpents. They're dangerous. Tae-yoon paused. The Serpents. Low-level drug pushers. Violent, messy, but small time compared to the syndicate Tae-yoon dealt with to build his empire. So that's who you left me for, Tae-yoon sneered. A drug dealer because he had a motorcycle and a leather jacket. He wasn't like that in the beginning, she sobbed. He was nice. He had a job at the auto shop. He reminded me of you. Tae-yoon flinched. Don't you dare compare me to him. He was ambitious. He wanted to start his own business. But then he got hurt and he got hooked on pills and everything fell apart. I tried to help him, Tae-yoon. I tried to fix him because I couldn't fix us. Tae-yoon stared at her. The anger in his chest was warring with something else, something soft and painful. You left me because you thought I was going to fail, he said quietly. No, she grabbed his lapels, pulling him closer. I left you because I was holding you back. You were working 3 jobs to pay for my dad's medicine. You were skipping meals so I could eat. I saw you fading away, Tae-yoon. I loved you too much to watch you kill yourself for me. Tae-yoon froze. He looked at her tear-streaked face. You left to save me. I wanted you to fly, she whispered. And you did. Look at you. You're the king. I'm a king alone in a castle, he gritted out. He pulled away from her. He walked to the window. He needed to think. He needed to breathe. The Serpents won't touch you here, he said, his back to her. I have more guns in this building than the police department. He won't stop Tae-yoon. He wants Joshua. He's not getting Joshua. Tae-yoon turned around. And he's not getting you. Why? She asked. Why do you care? Because Tae-yoon walked back to the crib and looked down at the sleeping baby. Because I don't like it when people touch my things. I'm not a thing, she said weakly. For now, you are, he said. You're under my protection, that makes you mine, and nobody steals from Choi Tae-yoon. He checked his watch. I have a meeting. Marcus will watch you. Don't leave the penthouse. Don't answer the phone, and for God's sake, don't open the door. He walked to the elevator. Tae-yoon, he stopped. Be careful, she whispered. He didn't look back. The elevator doors closed, shutting him out. Blessing sat in the silence of the luxury prison. She looked at her son. She looked at the view of the city. She had traded one cage for another. But in this cage, there was food. There was safety. And there was a man who, despite everything, still looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. She wheeled herself to the window. She put her hand on the glass. Please, she prayed. Don't let him get hurt because of me. Far below, on the street, a black van with tinted windows pulled up to the curb opposite the casino. A man in a dirty leather jacket rolled down the window. He looked up at the glittering tower of the Royal Zenith. He spat on the sidewalk. Found you, he smiled. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing Blessing inside the penthouse. The silence was instant. It was heavy. She looked at Marcus, who was standing by the kitchen island, scrolling through his phone. He's going to kill him, isn't he? Blessing asked. Her voice trembled. Marcus didn't look up. The boss doesn't do the killing. He pays people to handle problems, but... He paused, swiping a finger across the screen. For this guy, he might make an exception. I have to stop him. Blessing spun the wheelchair around. I need a phone, Marcus. I need to call the police or someone. The police work for Mr. Choi, Marcus said calmly. Sit down, Miss Blessing. Eat your soup. If you stress out, the baby stresses out. Blessing slumped back in the chair. She looked at the city view. It looked like a prison of glass and light. You don't understand Jax. He's not just some thug. He's mean. He fights dirty. Tae-yoon is a businessman now. He's used to boardrooms, not knife fights in a trailer park. Marcus chuckled. It was a deep, rumbling sound. He finally looked at her. You think Mr. Choi built this city by being nice? Marcus shook his head. You knew him when he was a dishwasher, right? When he was hungry. Yes. Well, a hungry dog bites the hardest, Marcus said. He didn't stop biting just because he got a new suit. Don't worry about the boss. Worry about the guy who made him mad. Tae-yoon didn't go to his office. He sat in the back of a black SUV that wasn't a limousine. It was an armored truck disguised as a luxury car. Beside him sat Vinny, a man with a scar running from his ear to his chin. Vinny didn't talk. He just cleaned his fingernails with a small knife. The address, Tae-yoon said. The Rusty Spoke, Vinny replied. Biker bar on the edge of town, real hole. Police don't go there unless they have a SWAT team. Perfect, Tae-yoon adjusted his cuffs. He wasn't wearing his jacket. He had rolled up the sleeves of his white shirt. He looked at his hands. They were clean, manicured. They hadn't touched blood in a long time. You want us to go in first, boss? Vinny asked. Clear the room. No, Tae-yoon said. I want to see his face when I walk in. I want him to know who did it. The car rolled to a stop in front of a dilapidated building. Neon beer signs flickered in the windows. Motorcycles were lined up out front like jagged teeth. A few men in leather vests stood by the door, smoking. Tae-yoon opened his own door. The heat hit him, smelling of dust and exhaust. He stepped out. The men by the door stopped talking. They looked at the expensive car. They looked at the man in the $500 shirt. They smirked. "Lost, rich boy," one of them sneered. He had a beard that looked like a bird's nest. "Valet parking is at the casino." Tae-yoon didn't stop walking. He walked right up to the man. "I'm looking for Jax." The biker laughed. "Jax, who's asking? The IRS." "The bank," Tae-yoon said. Before the biker could blink, Tae-yoon moved. It was a blur. He didn't punch. He grabbed the biker's beard, slammed his head into the brick wall, and kneed him in the stomach. The man dropped like a sack of cement. The other two bikers reached for their belts. Vinny and two other guards stepped out of the car. They didn't pull guns. They just cracked their knuckles. The bikers froze. Tae-yoon stepped over the groaning man and pushed the door open. The bar was dark. It smelled of stale beer and sweat. Rock music blared from a jukebox. Pool balls clacked. Every head turned to look at the newcomer. The music seemed to stop. "Jax!" Tae-yoon shouted. His voice cut through the noise. "You called me, I'm here." A chair scraped against the floor in the back corner. A skinny man stood up. He was wearing a dirty tank top and jeans that hung low on his hips. He had tattoos up his neck. A snake was tattooed on his cheek. It was him. The man who had touched Blessing, Jax grinned. His teeth were yellow. "Well, look at that, the sugar daddy showed up." He walked toward Tae-yoon, swaying slightly. He was high. His pupils were pinpricks. "Where's my wife?" Jax demanded, stopping 5 feet away. "And my kid, you got them in the car." "They aren't here," Tae-yoon said coldly. "And she's not your wife." "We jumped the broom," Jax laughed. "In my heart, we're married. That's what counts. She owes me, Choi. She took my stash. 5 grand. That's a lot of money for a rat like her." 5 grand? Tae-yoon reached into his pocket. He pulled out a money clip. It was thick with $100 bills. He threw it on the floor at Jax's feet. "There's 10, Tae-yoon said. "Pick it up." The bar went silent. $10,000 lay on the dirty floor. Jax stared at it. Greed flickered in his eyes. He licked his lips. "You think you can buy me off?" Jax sneered, but he bent down. His hand reached for the money. As soon as his fingers touched the cash, Tae-yoon stepped on his hand. Hard. Jax screamed. The sound was high and sharp. "I'm not buying you off," Tae-yoon said, grinding his heel into the man's fingers. "I'm paying for your hospital bill." Jax tried to swing with his other hand. Tae-yoon caught it, twisted, and heard a snap. Jax howled, dropping to his knees. "You touched her," Tae-yoon whispered, leaning down. "You put your hands on her, you broke her ankle." "She fell," Jax sobbed. "I swear." "She ran and she fell. Because she was running from you," Tae-yoon shouted. He kicked Jax in the chest, sending him sliding across the floor. The other bikers in the room stood up. They were holding pool cues and broken bottles. "Stay out of it," Vinny barked, flashing a gun tucked in his waistband. "This is private business." The bikers sat back down. They knew the rules. You don't fight men in suits who bring cash and guns. Tae-yoon walked over to Jax, who was curling into a ball. Tae-yoon grabbed him by the collar and hauled him up. "Listen to me closely," Tae-yoon hissed. "You are dead. You died today. If I see you in Vegas again, if I see you near my building, if I even hear your name, I will put you in a hole so deep the devil won't find you. Do you understand?" "Yes," Jax cried, snot running down his face. "Yes, just take her. I don't want her. She's crazy anyway." Tae-yoon dropped him. He looked at his own shirt. There was a speck of blood on the cuff. He frowned. "Keep the money," Tae-yoon said, stepping over Jax. "Use it to buy a bus ticket out of state. If you're still here tomorrow, Vinny will come back, and Vinny isn't as nice as I am." He turned and walked out. The bar remained silent until the door swung shut behind him. In the car, Tae-yoon pulled a wet wipe from a packet and scrubbed his hands. He scrubbed until his skin was red. "You okay, boss?" Vinny asked from the front seat. "I hate dirt," Tae-yoon muttered. "I hate dirty places. I hate dirty people. We handled it. For now." Tae-yoon looked out the window. "Drive to the jewelry store, the one on 5th. Jewelry store, you want to buy a watch?" "No," Tae-yoon said. "I need to buy a ring." Back at the penthouse, Blessing had finally managed to get Joshua to sleep. She was sitting in the wheelchair by the crib, watching his chest rise and fall. She jumped when the elevator dinged. She spun around. Tae-yoon walked in. He looked perfectly put together, except his sleeves were rolled up and his hair was slightly windblown. He was carrying a small velvet bag. "You're back," she breathed. She scanned him for injuries. "Are you? Did you?" "It's handled," Tae-yoon said shortly. He walked to the kitchen and poured a glass of water. "He won't bother you again." "What did you do?" "I gave him a retirement plan," Tae-yoon said. He drank the water and set the glass down. He walked over to her. He looked intense. The adrenaline was still pumping through him. She could feel the heat coming off him. "Blessing," he said. "Yes. He said you weren't legally married." "I told you that." "Good." Tae-yoon reached into the velvet bag. He pulled out a box. He opened it. Inside sat a diamond. It wasn't huge and gaudy like Vanessa's had been. It was a solitaire, elegant and sharp, set in platinum. Blessing stared at it. "What is that?" "A shield," Tae-yoon said. He took her left hand. Her fingers were rough, the nails short and unpolished. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "Tae-yoon, what are you doing?" She tried to pull her hand away, but he held it fast. "Vanessa is planning something," he said. "I have spies in her camp. She's going to go on the news tonight. She's going to say I'm keeping a mistress. She's going to say I have a love child. So, let her talk." "I can't just let her talk. Investors get nervous. The gaming board gets nervous." Morality clauses. He looked her in the eye. "But if I'm helping my fiancé, if I'm protecting my future wife, then it's not a scandal, it's a romance." "Fiancé," Blessing looked at the ring, then at him. "You want to fake an engagement." "Who said anything about fake?" The air left the room. Blessing forgot how to breathe. You hate me," she whispered. "You said it yesterday, you hate me." "I do," he said. He dropped her hand and stepped back. "I hate that you left. I hate that you didn't call. I hate that you suffered while I was buying cars I didn't drive. But I don't want you gone." He ran a hand over his face. "This ring, it buys us time, it shuts Vanessa up, it keeps Jax away, and it gives Joshua a name. You want to give him your name? He needs a father unless you want him to grow up to be like Jax." "No," she said quickly. "Then wear the ring." Blessing looked down at the diamond. It caught the light from the chandelier. It was heavy. It felt like a shackle, but it also felt like a promise. "Okay," she whispered. "Good." Tae-yoon turned away, hiding the relief on his face. "Get dressed, not the sweatpants. Marcus bought you a dress. We have to go downstairs." "Downstairs, I can't walk." "I know, but the press is still outside. We're going to give them a show." 10 minutes later, Blessing was wearing a silk wrap dress that Marcus had miraculously guessed the right size for. It was blue, the color of the ocean she had never seen. It hit her cast. Tae-yoon pushed her wheelchair into the elevator. He didn't look at her. He was typing on his phone. "When the doors open," he instructed, "you look happy, you smile, you hold my hand, can you act?" "I acted like I was okay for 5 years," she said. "I can handle 5 minutes." Tae-yoon paused. He looked at her. "Touché." The elevator descended to the lobby. As the doors opened, the noise hit them. The flashbulbs were blinding even through the glass doors. Security was holding back a wall of photographers. Tae-yoon pushed the wheelchair forward. He stopped right in the center of the lobby where everyone could see. He walked around to the front of the chair. He knelt down on one knee. The cameras went wild. The clicking sound was like a swarm of cicadas. Tae-yoon took her hand, the one with the ring. He kissed her knuckles. "Smile," he murmured against her skin. Blessing forced a smile, but looking at him, kneeling there, it wasn't hard. He looked like her Tae-yoon again, the boy who proposed with a ring pop rapper in the park. He stood up and turned to the glass doors. He held up her hand, showing off the ring. He didn't say a word to the press. He didn't have to. The picture said everything. The casino king had chosen his queen, and she wasn't a senator's daughter. She was the girl from the street. He turned back to her, tucked a stray curl behind her ear, and whispered, "Let's go home." He wheeled her back to the elevator. The doors closed, shutting out the chaos. Meanwhile, across town, in a mansion that smelled of lilies and old money, Vanessa watched the live feed on her phone. She didn't scream this time. She didn't throw anything. She sat very still on her velvet sofa. "He proposed," she whispered. "He actually proposed to the trash." Her father, Senator Sterling, walked into the room. He was a gray-haired man with eyes like ice. "Is that him?" The senator asked, pointing at the TV screen where the news was replaying the scene in the lobby. "The man who humiliated my daughter." "Yes, Daddy," Vanessa said, a tear sliding down her perfect cheek. "He used me. He used our connections to get his permits, and now he throws me away for a homeless woman." The senator took a sip of his scotch. "Well, we can't have that, can we?" "I want him destroyed," Vanessa said. "I want his casino. I want his money. I want her back in the gutter where she belongs." "Leave it to me," the senator said. "I have friends at the Gaming Commission. I have friends at Child Protective Services. If this woman was on the street with a baby, she's unfit. And if Tae-yoon is harboring a kidnapper or a drug addict, he loses his license." Vanessa smiled. It was a slow, cruel smile. "Get the baby, Daddy. If we take the baby, she breaks. And if she breaks, Tae-yoon breaks." Back in the penthouse, the adrenaline was fading. Blessing felt exhausted. The dress felt too tight. Tae-yoon wheeled her back to the living room. You did good, he said. Is it over? The first round is, he said. Vanessa will see that, she'll back off. You don't know women very well, do you? Blessing said. Tae-yoon stopped. What do you mean? A woman like that. She doesn't back off when she's humiliated, she gets even. Let her try. The intercom buzzed. Boss, Marcus's voice was tight. We have a visitor, not the press. Child Protective Services and the police, they have a warrant. Blessing's blood ran cold. She gripped the armrests of the wheelchair. A warrant for what? They say they have a report of child endangerment, Marcus said. They're coming up. Tae-yoon cursed. He looked at Blessing. Her face was pure terror. They're going to take him, she gasped. Tae-yoon, they're going to take Joshua. No, they're not. Tae-yoon grabbed his phone. Call the lawyer now. The elevator doors opened. 2 police officers and a stern-looking woman in a gray suit stepped out. Mr. Choi, the woman said, holding up a clipboard. I'm Mrs. Gable from CPS. We received a credible tip that there is an infant in this residence in immediate danger. We need to see the child. He is sleeping, Tae-yoon said, stepping in front of the hallway that led to the bedrooms. And you are trespassing. We have a court order, the woman said, unfazed. Step aside, sir, or you will be arrested for obstruction. Blessing tried to stand up. No, you can't. He's fine. Look, I'm his mother. You are the mother. Mrs. Gable looked at Blessing. She looked at the cast. She looked at the bruises on her arms. She made a note on her clipboard. Mother shows signs of physical abuse, unstable living situation, history of drug use reported. Drug use? Blessing screamed. I never used drugs, that's a lie. We need to take the child into protective custody pending an investigation, Mrs. Gable said coldly. Officers, get the baby. The police officers moved forward. Tae-yoon didn't move. He stood like a statue in the hallway. His fists were clenched. If you take one more step, Tae-yoon said, his voice low and shaking with rage, you will regret it. Sir, step aside, the officer warned, putting a hand on his holster. Tae-yoon, Blessing cried. Don't, they'll arrest you, please. She knew if he fought, he would go to jail, and if he went to jail, she had no one. Just let them see him, she sobbed. Please. Tae-yoon looked at her. He saw the desperation in her eyes. He ground his teeth together so hard he thought they would crack. Slowly, he stepped aside. The officers walked past him. They went into the bedroom. A moment later, Joshua started crying. They came out carrying the baby. Mrs. Gable took him. We will be in touch regarding the hearing, she said. Do not try to leave the city. They walked back to the elevator. Blessing screamed. Joshua, no, let me hold him, he's hungry. Ma'am, sit down, the officer said. The doors closed. The silence that followed was deafening. Blessing put her head in her hands and wailed, a sound of pure, broken-hearted grief. Tae-yoon stood there, staring at the closed elevator doors. The veins in his neck were bulging. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He walked over to the coffee table and swept everything off it with one violent motion. The vase, the glasses, the magazines, everything crashed to the floor. Vanessa, he growled. He pulled out his phone. He didn't call his lawyer. He called a number he hadn't used in years, a number that belonged to the dark part of his past. It's me, Tae-yoon said into the phone. I need a favor. I need dirt on Senator Sterling, and I need it tonight. I don't care what it costs. Burn him down. He hung up. Walked over to Blessing. She was shaking, sobbing into her hands. He knelt down in front of her, ignoring the glass shards digging into his knees. He took her hands. Look at me, he commanded. She looked up, her eyes red and swollen. I promised you I would win, he said. They took the first piece, but they just started a war they can't finish. They took my baby, she whispered. Tae-yoon, they took him. And I will get him back, he vowed. I will buy the whole damn CPS department if I have to. I will destroy Vanessa, her father, and anyone who helped them. You hear me? He pulled her into his arms. For the first time, she didn't pull away. She buried her face in his shoulder and cried, holding on to him like he was the only solid thing left in the world. And Tae-yoon, the cold, arrogant tycoon, held her tight, plotting the destruction of his enemies while his heart hammered against hers. Wait, oh no. They took Joshua. Vanessa has gone too far this time. Do you think Tae-yoon can get the baby back legally, or will he have to go back to his old gangster ways? Let me know your theories in the comments. And if you want to see Vanessa get what she deserves, smash that like button right now. Don't forget to subscribe to Timeless K-Love so you don't miss it. We upload daily.